This is the Mexico Revealed podcast.
Welcome to Mexico Revealed. Whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Hello. Episode something or other. We're getting up there. But this is our first episode of 2022, right? So,
Wow.
welcome to the new year.
Will be a good one.
Is
A little
everybody
belated welcome.
Everybody off to a good start this year?
Yeah,
It's
good start.
decent.
Yeah.
Decent.
So.
Yeah.
As good as it could be.
We all sound so depressing.
Nobody's very
Hey, at least we're not in quarantine. That's a plus.
The most
It's
vague,
January.
sad answers.
As the days get longer, it will get better.
Okay. That will give us some hope, huh? Maybe we get longer days.
Yes.
Warmer days.
All right.
Yeah, warm.
Well, during these long winter nights of January and not sunshine and cold and all that stuff, one thing that can always pick us up a little bit is to think about Mexico. No?
Yeah. What's
Warm,
the temperature
sunny
in
Mexico?
Mexico right now? Let's see.
I don't know. Which part of
Depends
Mexico?
where you go.
The
Cancun.
beach. We're going to the
Cancun.
beach, of course.
What's the temperature in Cancun right now? Caroline, you just looked it up?
The beach. Ooh, right now it's 66.
66.
It's 63 in Mexico City.
Okay,
66 is kind of cold.
63
But
is a little...
Tuesday, Wednesday next week it'll get in the 80s.
Nice.
Nice.
I'll be the
Nice.
podcast meteorologist,
Okay.
the weather woman.
Official.
Yeah, I've taken this upon me.
There's a high pressure coming in.
Yeah,
We're gonna need to get a video screen with all
Yeah,
the weather.
we need
the
the
green
green
screen.
screen.
I need a green
Green screen. You can
thing behind
see.
me.
Slight chance of rain on
Yeah.
Wednesday. But
Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube,
look at the
next
clear
episode, I'll
skies
have a
on Thursday.
special background.
Okay. Yeah, we'll try and
There you
work
go.
that out. So there was an article recently on a website. I don't know if it's a magazine as well, but it's a website called International Living. And the title of the article is The Best Places to Live in Mexico as a U.S. Expat. So I thought we'd talk about, I'll share with you, I think there's 7 places on this or something like that. We'll go through their list.
We'll do a little
I'd
review.
like to hear your comments. We can share our thoughts, comments about what we think about that particular place as a place to live as an expat. And there's different ways you could approach this too, because we lived in Mexico as a family and with young kids and things like that. So would it be a place that would be good for that situation? There are lots of people that think about retiring to Mexico. No, so that would be kind of a different circumstance. So it could depend a little bit on where you are in your life. But anyway, we'll go through the different places and discuss if we agree that we think that would be a good place for a U.S. expat to live. Okay, you ready?
You ready?
Ready,
Yeah.
Freddy.
The first one on the list is Puerto Vallarta.
Oh,
Thumbs up, thumbs down. What do you guys think on
To
that?
live?
Yes,
I
to
just watched
live.
a House Hunters episode of International of Puerto Vallarta.
oh, what they
Oh,
had
yeah?
to say.
How'd it look?
It looked good. They
Which-
showed some nice new apartments that looked nice.
Okay. Were they affordable? Or what was the price? What were the prices like? Remember?
I think they were buying, and it was I don't know, 400,000
Mhm.
range.
Okay. Well, Melissa, you're the one who's been to Puerto Vallarta most recently. So having been there most recently, what would you think about living there?
I think it would be good. I think it wouldn't be my first choice if I were moving to Mexico, just me personally. But I think the more retired and maybe younger couples would like it there.
Okay.
Isn't it kind of out of the way? That's how I remember it. I haven't been there in a long time, but it's
Well,
a little
driving
more
there,
remote.
there is not a big highway to Puerto Vallarta. You kind of have to go from Guadalajara on the toll road, which is a big, nice highway, but then you kind of have to take one through the mountains. It's a little bit windier and
Maybe
not
that's
as
why.
big. Yeah.
Maybe
So
that's how I remember it.
yeah, that's because we drove there. But it has a nice international airport, as you can tell us,
Good.
right, Melissa? So flying there is very easy. There's lots of flights to and from Puerto Vallarta from the U.S. So from that standpoint, it's pretty easy to access. Advantage is the beach. You could be by the ocean, by the beach, and it's probably cheaper there than in California, right? Or Florida, or some of the beach places you might be in the U.S. Hawaii, certainly more affordable in Hawaii.
True.
Just
But for
seems
a family,
so touristy. I don't know. You know,
Mhm.
definitely for a family. Like, what are
Yeah,
you going to do
what's the
for
school
schooling?
situation?
Yeah, I don't know. That would be a good question. I don't know what their schools are like, if there's international schools there.
Does Puerto Vallarta have like a business center, like a business district for that kind of demographic, younger?
It has a town, like a colonial style town, which is fun for tourism. I mean, there's lots of restaurants and it's very scenic. You went down to that area, didn't you, Melissa?
Yeah, we went down to the little town area.
There's shops and restaurants and things, a neat little church.
So maybe it'd be better for retirement purposes.
All right, what's number
Okay.
2?
All right. Well, I like Puerto Vallarta. Okay. Number 2 on the list, San Miguel de Allende.
Oh,
I like
thumbs
San
up.
Miguel.
Thumbs up
But
from me.
I was reading an article
Damn.
to buy property around El Jardín, which is like the center
Mhm.
where you'd want to be.
Yeah.
It's over $1 million.
San Miguel's overrated.
San
Why do you-
Miguel is awesome, and I love the feel of that place, but it's super expensive.
Because everyone else loves the feel of that place too. So
Mhm.
Yeah, but the
Not
nice thing about
Everyone
it,
recognizes game.
the nice thing about it, unlike Puerto Vallarta maybe, is like there's other places you can drive to. You can fly into Querétaro or into León. So there's options. There's more options there.
Sam, you said it's overrated. Why do you say that?
Because it's overpriced. And it's kind of like secluded from everywhere. Like you're not gonna get like a supermarket or something. You're probably gonna have
Yes, you
They get
can.
fresh
We
bread.
went to Superama. It's just not in the main colonial area. I think Sam doesn't like it because we made him walk up and down all those cobblestone streets, up the hills, down the hills, up the hills, down, all of them. So
it wasn't worth it.
I mean, Sam's viewing it from the perspective of a 10-year-old boy, right?
right, he didn't want to go into
I'm not
furniture
biased.
stores.
We went there that one time when we stayed at that house. We had a pool and some things like that.
that was nice.
That gave a few things to do
That's
for kids.
That's a core memory for me.
Mhm.
That
Me
one.
too.
But, I would agree that maybe for kids, it's maybe not as interesting because it's more of a shopping. It's very scenic, the colonial town with the architecture, the streets, the furniture stores, all of the antiques, the art, all that's very amazing. But if you're with kids, they might get bored a little bit. I don't know. I mean, you girls liked it. You were younger.
I mean, you say get bored, but one of the funnest things we did out of San Miguel was go to that horseback place. Remember, Sam? You loved
Ranch.
That was pretty fun.
that ranch, and we went horseback riding, and then
Yeah.
we had blue corn tortillas.
Those are probably the
fun.
best tortillas ever. But My point still stands.
Well, and it's
right.
not as it's. I mean, it's one of the things that's nice about it. It is kind of remote, but it does create a little bit more logistical issue because you can fly into Querétaro or León, but those airports don't have as many flights from the U.S. So you can fly into Mexico City, but then it's about 2.5, 3 hour drive. So versus Puerto Vallarta, for example, you can fly into Puerto Vallarta International Airport and you're right there. So that's
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
one
It's
nice
included.
thing about that.
Yeah. Listen to me.
All right, good point, Sam.
All
So-
right, but I
so
do
we
think
love-
a lot of
Yeah.
elderly, like retiree type people, they all love San Miguel. They're the ones driving the price up. That's why it's so expensive.
It's a beautiful town, no doubt about it.
Worth it
And we
For
love visiting there.
at one point in your lifetime.
Yeah. But
can't
would you want to, we love visiting there, we've spent time there, we've never lived there. Would you want to live in San Miguel?
If we had a heater or heated floors, because they have like
Stone.
wild range of,
Stone.
it can be like 40 in the morning and get up to 75 in the afternoon. So it does big ranges.
Yeah.
Sam's a no, I think.
Yeah. I think it's just my thought on that. It would be, it's hard to say how it would be to live there. I think that in some ways it's gotten easier because versus when we first started going there is more stuff there, like the grocery stores, like Sam was talking about. I think the restaurants have improved. Because when we first started going there was a lot of selection in restaurants. They hadn't built the Rosewood, things like that. So it's developed a lot. But the flip side to that is it has gotten more crowded. It's become kind of so I think that's kind of the trade-off is it's become easier to be there as an expat because you do have more of the amenities than the grocery store and it's easier, but it's gotten kind of crowded. So, but a beautiful place. So something to consider, right? For when we're retired, Marianne, is that
Right.
on your list?
Maybe. There's only one way to find out. Let's go and try it
Okay.
for a month.
All right.
I'm not doing that.
This is the third one on the list, and it's actually a place that we have not been to, but we've thought about a lot, which is Merida.
I've always wanted to go to Merida.
I have to. I'd like to go there. They title it here Colonial City Living. So again, it's another colonial city, but I think it's obviously larger than San Miguel. So you'd have a lot more in terms of grocery stores and restaurants and things, but maybe more people. I don't know. That's a place we need to visit, isn't it? We've been close. We've been in the Yucatan to Chichen Itza and that direction. So Merida is not much further away from Chichen Itza. So it'd always be warm there.
Gotta go to prove it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it would be
out.
warm. It would be nice and warm there.
Mm-hmm. There's not a beach right in Merida, so.
But you
I'm not
drive
sure.
an hour and you'd be at a beach.
Yeah, I mean, you can get to Cancun. I think there is the coast. Just you have to drive a little bit up from Merida, but I don't know what the beaches are like or anything like that.
Like Progreso or something.
Yeah. So.
Okay, this is random.
Okay.
But can you hear me okay? Because the dishwasher's on.
Oh, you sound perfect.
Yeah, you sound good.
Yeah, I
Cannot
don't
hear the dishwasher.
I don't hear the
All right.
dishwasher.
Awesome. Okay, keep going.
Okay, so Merida is something that's probably worth being on the list, but we need to go there before we can give a real opinion about it. No?
Yeah.
And
Let us mull it over and take a trip.
The next place on the list is also a place where we have not been, but it's kind of an interesting one because I don't think we've really thought about it much as a family. But this one is Lake Chapala.
Where is
Lake
that?
Chapala.
Lake Chapala is kind of not far from Guadalajara. So it's out in that area of Guadalajara. So we've driven out in that area. I think it's a little bit to the south of Guadalajara. But it's interesting because that's like, I think it's the largest expat community in Mexico. And
Really?
it's been there for a
Really?
long time. So
Why?
there's been U.S. people moving and living in Lake Chapala for decades.
What's the draw to it? The
I
lake?
think it's just great weather, and it has Mexico feel to it, and you've got a lake. I don't know. I mean, I haven't been there either. I've been out in that area, but I've never actually been to the communities around the lake. But it has, I think, the biggest expat community in Mexico. So
Okay, well, we can't really comment on that one.
that's
Next.
another one I guess we need to visit. Although it's not the place. I mean, you don't really hear about people going on vacations to Lake Chapala.
I've never heard of Lake
But
Chapala.
it's just this place
No
where
offense.
people,
No.
it's just become like this expat place, for living.
Hey.
So anyway, we'll have to think about that.
Another one to visit.
Okay, the next one on the list is Tulum.
Tulum.
That doesn't get me as excited. Not gonna lie.
Tulum's kind of a hot place right now, though. There's a lot of development going on because it's kind of it tries to be kind of this bohemian sort of,
Jungle
aesthetic.
city.
Yeah, it's the jungle. It's a
Like
little bit more.
upscale bohemian, though, because,
Uh,
again, the prices of homes there would be very expensive in Tulum.
It's turning that way. Although if you're not right on the beach, I think there's a lot more affordable stuff. But there's
I
that
also
beach.
watched the House Hunters International episode of Tulum.
Okay. How
That's
was
a
that?
I don't remember the price range on that one, though.
What sort of places were they looking at? Do you remember?
Like apartment condos. One of them was on a golf course, I think. But they ended up picking one that was just in the city or further out from the beach.
Yeah.
Beachfront.
Yeah, the beach there's a lot of little hotels and things, but it's not like a big sort of developed area. So I don't know that there's a lot of options at the beach, but in the town and all around it, there's a lot. I think even going up the road a little bit would still be considered Tulum for a lot of people, like getting up to Akumal. And remember that golf course, Marianne, where they have a bunch of condos?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. So, and also another interesting thing is there's plans to build an international airport in Tulum. So,
Really?
Yeah.
so eventually you're going to be able to fly directly to Tulum and not have to just fly to Cancun and then drive down.
So maybe you could go south towards where's that place we went, Caroline? Mahawala, which is south.
Well, yeah, that's even further
Oh,
south.
on the cruise?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I remember.
That's a way, I don't know, that's still a ways away from Tulum, I think.
Yeah, but that way you could get undeveloped stuff, get in early.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah,
that
it keeps
place was
going down the coast. So
that place
Pretty soon you're in
was
Belize.
like undeveloped, but it had nice roads. Like it's expecting to get more developed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they're trying to promote cruises there, I think. So.
Yes.
So Tulum, yeah, I think it's kind of a hot area. You see a lot of things of celebrities, Instagrammers and stuff going to Tulum, don't you? So
yeah, I've seen some Instagram.
it's kind of a hot area. And you'd have access. So what about living in Tulum? So visiting, we've had a lot of fun visiting there. Would you want to live there?
I could live there.
Mom's getting excited about that. You're going to have great weather.
And remember those fruit stands? Just tons of mangoes and papayas.
Yeah. And you'd have access to the whole Riviera Maya.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you got tired of Tulum, just go up the coast a bit.
It's very flat in that whole area. So you don't have any contours in the topography, but great
Or
beaches.
drive
though.
over to Merida.
Yeah, well, that's
somehow.
pretty flat too. I think.
Well, you can go past
Chiapas.
Pizza.
Go to Chiapas. All right.
I don't know about that for living.
All right.
A little living on the edge.
But that one, you like
Chiapas.
that. Marianne, Mom seems to like that one. So I think that's a good option. All right. Let's move on to the next one, which I think is another interesting one. The next one is a place that we have been to, and this is Watulko.
Hey,
Mhm.
is that the one with the rocky beaches?
Yes.
One of them that we went to.
One of
yeah.
the, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You have to like fish to go to Watulko because there isn't a lot of like steak, chicken options, as we discovered with children who maybe didn't want to eat fish. So liking fish would be a good thing.
That's something you remember from our trip, Marianne?
Yeah.
What's
You could have the fish or the fish.
Or the quesadilla.
What's the access like to Watulko though? Because that one is also a little more out of the way.
Yes. So there is an international airport in Watulko, but it's not going to have the same flights as you would have to Cancun or to Puerto Vallarta or to Cabo.
Yeah.
Or to Mexico City, Monterrey. So
if Mexico City isn't on this list, I'm gonna be a little bit disappointed.
okay,
I'm
we're
sure
gonna have
it's
to
on
find
the
out.
list.
We have to find out, but
Watulko, I think, is still progressing. It's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
But I just remember being there we were like there on over New Year's, right?
Yeah.
So the banks were closed. So we went to the grocery store and you stood in like this really long line to get some cash.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Because we were thinking, oh no, we're not going to have cash because a lot of people don't take credit cards. So it's not like you can just go to the bank ATM. I mean, it's probably changed now because it's been quite a few years since we were there, and that's kind of a hot place. But
there are some resorts there. There's a hotel zone in the resort area. And I don't know, I'd say Watulko is obviously beautiful. You have the beach, and it's going to be warm because it's down south. You've got the mountains, so you have a nice on the Pacific side, so you've got kind of that mountainous ruggedness to it, which is beautiful, and the beaches, very warm water. So you have all that stuff. But if you're going to live there, you're going to need to be a little bit, as a U.S. expat, you're going to need to be a little bit more comfortable with getting out of your comfort zone, I think, wouldn't you say?
Yes, because you're not going to find the American products that you would find, unless they built a Costco. I'd have to check on that. But if there's not a Costco there, then don't be expecting to find the maple syrup and the brown sugar and those kind of.
It's going to be a more real down home Mexican experience. So it kind of depends on what you're looking for and what you're comfortable with. And probably speaking Spanish, you're going to have a harder time maybe if you don't know any Spanish in that area. It's just still kind of a newer.
Yeah, it'll just be easier if you speak Spanish.
Yeah, okay. But a beautiful place. So definitely worth considering. So now we're to the last one on the list. And
how many are on this list again?
I think, I don't know, is this number 7? I think we're on number 7.
Lucky number 7.
This is the last one, so we'll wrap it up with this one. But it's also, this is a place that I've been to, but I don't think any of you have been there, so I'm not sure. But the last one on the list is Ensenada. So,
never been.
Ensenada.
Don't they have cruises to there?
Yeah. Cruises will stop there. It's just down the coast from Tijuana, so it's not far from the border with San Diego. So it's actually not that bad to drive there from the U.S. So you can, from San Diego, you could drive across the border. And I think it's about a 2-hour drive down from Tijuana. So
Didn't we take Melissa and Caroline there when they were little, before Sam was born?
Oh, like they're gonna remember that.
Oh no,
went
they're
to
not.
Tijuana.
Babies.
Across the border as babies?
I don't know that we went there.
Ah, yes, I
think
can
we
recall
just-
my experience.
Did
I
we
think
have a passport?
Yeah, you did. We got your passport.
You had a passport.
Oh,
Yeah.
I had a passport as a baby?
Yes, you did.
Yes.
Wow.
We did not go
You
to.
didn't have it in your possession.
What was my picture? It was like,
It was a-
Picture.
It was a baby picture. Those were cute passports, actually.
Yes.
Do we still have those somewhere?
I might have extra of the passport picture. I don't know if I have the passports.
Yeah, those were cute. But we did not go to Ensenada. We went to Rosarito,
Oh, okay.
which is kind of the first. That's really close to Tijuana. That's kind of the first sort of beach area, just going south of Tijuana, and that's pretty close. And then, but if you just go past Rosarito a little ways further, and then you get to Ensenada. So.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't been there.
So I think Ensenada would be a place that, for someone who wants easy access just to drive back into the U.S., that would be a good option, because it would, in some ways, it wouldn't be that different from being in the U.S. You're just a couple hours south. So I think, there's a lot of Americans that are in that Tijuana, Rosarito, Baja area. And so you wouldn't be so isolated like you would be in Watulko, for example, and but you wouldn't have as good of weather. I mean, it's sort of California style, so I guess the weather is very nice and mild. The water, it's going to be kind of like a California experience, only not quite as nice and different culture, language to
a little less expensive.
Not that different. Probably less expensive, yeah. So that would be
Less,
a benefit.
and you could drive back into the U.S. for like healthcare needs if you had those.
Yeah, which is a good point.
That's a good spot.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I think
It's a solid option.
I've been there. It was a long time ago, but
So to drive back, you'd have to go like through Tijuana.
Yeah.
So,
and it's another thing that's interesting too. Well, I don't know if I guess this is more for benefit of flying back into the U.S. But you can, at the Tijuana airport, has a border crossing into the U.S. right in the airport. So you can fly into the Tijuana airport and then just walk across a bridge into the U.S. From the airport. So
if you lived in Ensenada, you could drive up to Tijuana, park your car if you wanted, and then walk. I guess, why would you do that? You just drive, wouldn't you? Okay.
Yeah, I think so. But you could, well,
It was a good thought.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't really help much if you're living in Ensenada, but
well, there's limitless possibilities here.
Yeah. But I guess you could drive if you wanted to go other places in Mexico, but again, the border crossing doesn't really matter either. So anyway, whatever. Just forget I mentioned that. But just an interesting fun fact.
Yes, if you wanted to walk to the U.S., it is possible.
Yes, it's kind of a convenient thing, mainly for Mexicans, I think, who can fly into the Tijuana airport instead of having to fly into an international place. And then they can just walk across.
Rent a car, maybe, and go from there.
Yeah, so anyway. But Ensenada, yeah, I mean, it's kind of California South. So kind of depending on what you're looking for, but it might be a fun place to go too. So maybe a little bit easier place to live than some of these that are further away. So
Caroline, your Mexico City didn't make the list.
Mexico City.
I was about to say, last
disappointed.
on the list.
Mexico City, did not make the list, which we, of course, that's where we lived in Mexico.
Biased.
But, of course, we were living there for work purposes, not because of just wanting to live in another country and whatever. So that didn't make the list. But I think you'd have to consider Mexico City, even if you're. I mean, no. I mean, if you're a retired people wanting to live in Mexico, maybe trying to save a little bit more money, would you consider Mexico City, Marianne? What do you think?
If you're trying to save money,
Depends what area for, first of all.
yeah,
Mexico
because
City is a very big city, and it has a lot of areas that are a little bit sketchier than others.
Mm-hmm.
like any big city, yes.
Yeah.
And less expensive.
So you'd have to know where to go.
I think
Yeah.
as if you're a retired person, maybe not Mexico City. If you're trying to reduce the stress of driving,
Mhm.
Pollution.
that can definitely cause some stress in Mexico City.
Masses of people, although they do have good health care there with the private hospitals.
Mhm.
But here's my thought. I would just go to San Miguel. That would be me. And
Mom
you.
votes.
Number one on the list.
Because whatever mom votes is what I vote.
That's the correct
No.
answer. No question.
That's not true.
I
We're
like
a
San
team.
Miguel. I like San Miguel. That's a nice place. But for us as a family, yeah, Sam.
I would not want to live there. I'll
Okay,
tell you
my
this
second
right now.
choice then is Tulum.
Okay.
I like Tulum. No, Merida would be probably
Yeah.
my second. Although we should probably
never
visit
been
it.
there.
You've never been there.
Never been there.
What about Puerto Vallarta? That was on the list.
I like Puerto Vallarta.
I like Puerto Vallarta, but as far as driving to other places around there, I don't know that I would feel that confident doing that.
One tourist area that was not on this list was Cabo. And there's a lot of people that have homes in Cabo. And that
I
whole
could live
Cabo,
there.
San Jose de los Cabos, and then Cabo San Lucas. The one of the people in my office down there who's Mexican said she really likes to go to La Paz. It says you've got to go to La Paz. So we haven't been there either. That's just a little bit further up the coast in Cabo, or in Baja, California.
Let's go.
That's
And
the
she
capital
loves that.
of the state.
Mhm.
Ooh.
I
Nice.
think.
Yeah.
Maybe I should
Well,
go with
you learned all that stuff in school in Mexico, so you'd know better than the rest of us, you kids. So
Melissa has a better memory of that than I do.
She
La
was
Paz,
States.
she was a little older.
Baja
15
California
months.
Sur.
Not that much.
Mhm.
Hey,
So
a lot can happen in 15 months.
So that's an area that maybe should be on the list if you're thinking about touristy types of places where there's a lot of
Yeah, because that would be a short flight back
Mhm.
to the U.S. There's
Mhm.
a lot of American influence there, so you could probably
Mhm.
find things that you like, products that you like in the
Yeah.
U.S. You'd probably find them there.
Mhm.
Like Reese's.
Yeah.
Reese's peanut butter
You
cups.
can get Reese's in Mexico City these days, so I've confirmed that. For a family, Mexico City was great because we had schools, we had all the activities, all that sort of stuff. So it was a great experience for our kids, I think. But
Kids.
Yes,
yeah,
it was
I don't know
a
if
great
you agree.
experience.
And lots of things around and access, lots of flights. So that was it's just a very centrical sort of place. But La Paz, that's another place I'd like to visit. So Merida, we need to go there. I'd like
Yes,
to go to La
I think that
Paz.
should be number one on the list. Merida.
And someday, I don't know. I mean, this Lake Chapala is one of these places that is intriguing to me, just because nobody really plans a vacation there, but it has this huge expat community. So I don't know. It'd be worth exploring or just learning about that more at some point. So anyway, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, something to think about during this cold winter here. Unfortunately, we're not going through the big storms up in the Northeast, so we're out of that. But definitely makes you think about warm sunshine south of the border. Except Mexico City doesn't really fit that description, but a lot of these other places do. So, something to think about. But I think that brings us to an end of our conversation. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for getting on the podcast, everyone. And it's great to see you. And be sure and check us out like usual at mexicorevealed.com. Leave comments. We need more comments.
Buy us a taco.
Buy us a taco.
Buy Sam a taco.
Buy me a
Talking
taco.
about
Come on.
El
Sam
Tacos
likes
for us.
tacos.
Sam was dreaming about tacos earlier this morning.
Actually was. Last night I had the craziest dream that we went to El Khalifa with like my professor. For some reason. Mr. Smith, my math teacher.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, definitely. But check us out on all the platforms. Leave us some comments, tell your friends, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.